result of certain actions, certain characteristics. At times it was one major action, at times there was a culmination of various actions that led to their destruction. And we look to gain lessons from them and analyze it across with the event of Karbala to try and create a framework for ourselves spiritually, to awaken ourselves to be able to recognize the hujjah of Allah that we are awaiting for. Because there will be many people that will reject the Imam. In fact, the narrations go so far as to say those that awaited him, those that said Al-Ajal, 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 all their lives will be the first to turn against him, will be the first to reject him. And those that were the mushrikeen will be the first to accept him. Those that did not even acknowledge his existence will be the first to go towards him. And we need to ponder over this point that what is it that will cause us to reject the Imam? Is it that we have created this cultural understanding of Islam, this cultural house of cards that we call religion? And so as a result of it, once we've understood the religion through emotion, not through the aql, not through the intellect. So the moment that that house of cards gets attacked or the slightest question is raised about our faith or about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the whole thing that we have created collapses in on itself. The whole purpose of Ahlul Bayt, the whole purpose of the A'immah was that we awaken our intellectual selves, that we understand Allah intellectually. When people come towards Islam, and last night we were having a discussion with the other shuyukh that are reciting here in Manchester about this point, that when you understand something through emotion, that emotion wanes over time. That's why you have people who say, when I was younger, I used to be at the front of the matam and I used to be doing the hardest matam and I used to be the one that used to do the azadari. But now, not so much. Why? Because that was an emotional understanding. And with time, emotion goes down. But when a person understands Aba Abdullah and understands Karbala intellectually, that harara never goes down in the heart. Inna liqatl al-Hussain hararatan fi qulub al-mu'minin la tabrudu abada. That through the killing of Imam al-Hussain, a fire is ignited within the hearts of the believer, a fire that shall never subside. So if I find myself being ultra-religious or more inclined towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first 10 nights of Muharram, and as the year goes on, I become less and less inclined towards Allah, towards the religion, that means I have not truly understood Aba Abdullah. Because the one that truly understands Karbala, it says the fire that is created in their heart, La tabrudu abada. So when we understand things through emotion, emotions wane, emotions deplete, they have peaks and troughs. But when you understand something intellectually, you understand something through the power of the aql, then no matter what will come your way, there will be nothing that can break through that fortress, and a person's iman will be intact regardless of even if the whole world turns against them. You have people like Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, that Abu Dharr, after the haqq of Amirul Mu'mineen is taken away, all of society has turned against Ali. Many of the people have turned their back against Amirul Mu'mineen. A handful of people, but yet Abu Dharr is that individual that is going around, knocking on the doors of the Muhajirin and Ansar, walking through the streets of Medina, crying out, Ha Aliyun khayrul bashar, man ankara faqad kafar. That Ali is the greatest of mankind. And anyone that has denied this has committed kufr. That power, that courage, that shaja'ah that he shows is because he has rationalized and understood Ahlul Bayt intellectually, not through emotion. When that emotion wanes, a person's faith wanes. But the intellect is that thing that when a person understands something through the intellect, no matter what happens, that fire will never subside. If I understand the Azadari of Sayyid al-Shuhada intellectually, I gave the example before that first I cry for Imam al-Hussain normally. يُحِدُّ الذُّنُوبَ الْعِذَابِ, so all your sins are forgiven. But you now understand Imam Hussain, understand him intellectually, understand him using your logic, removing the emotion from it. First understand, rationalize why it is he went to Karbala, now introduce the emotion. Now it says not, the person won't cry. It says man baka ala al-Hussain. Now the person will do buka, he will wail over Imam Hussain. عارفا بحقه. And when he does that, wajibat lahu al-jannah. Jannah becomes wajib upon that person. That as a person gains ma'rifah. This is why when we say taqwa and we say the fear of God, this is the highest realm of understanding. The basic level of taqwa is being conscious of Allah. But fear of a thing comes at two times. One where someone doesn't understand it. This is not taqwa. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly calling people to contemplate, constantly calling people to do tadabbur. He's constantly calling people to think, to understand. So then this other taqwa, this other fear, when does that come? When I gain ma'rifah of something. When I understand something. When I begin to understand Allah, or I begin to understand the thing, and I start to rationalize it and gain an intellectual understanding, and I start to realize how majestic Allah is, and how insignificant I am, then instantly that fear will enter my heart. Taqwa is the highest realm. It can only be achieved through the aql. That I rationalize, I understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when I've rationalized and I've understood, at that point, the fear enters my heart. Come look at Dua Arafah of Imam al-Hussain salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. We recited it inshaAllah on the day of Arafah. Imam, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, you read it, he's saying, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Praise be to you, Lord, praise be to you, praise for this, glorification of you for this, praise, praise, praise. You go page after page after page of just hamd and thana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Constant praise, constant thanking of Allah. And what is the first thing that Hussain ibn Ali asks from his Lord? After doing pages and pages, I was looking through it, 8, 9, 10 pages of just alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Ya Hussain, what are you going to ask Allah on the day of Arafah? He turns around and the first dua that he makes, Allahumma ja'alni akhshaka ka'anni arak. My Lord, create that fear in my heart of you as if Hussain is seeing you. Allahumma ja'alni akhshaka ka'anni arak. My Lord, create that fear in my heart as if I am seeing you. Because taqwa, that fear of God, only comes after the ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to try and understand Karbala rationally, intellectually, so that it takes root in our hearts and that passion never wanes. We have started our analysis upon those people prior that had attacked the Hujjah of Allah, the proofs of God, the Anbiya of Allah, many of whom that Sayyid al-Shuhada refers to in Karbala and on his way to Karbala. Yesterday, we looked at the statement of Aba Abdullah to Aba Hiram as Imam Hussain is coming out of Mecca. And Aba Hiram says, who leaves Mecca during the time of Hajj? And Imam al-Hussain turns around and he says to him, Then they took away fadl from us, we were silent. They dishonored us, we stayed quiet, i.e. the swearing of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now they have intended to kill us, O Allah Haram, so we have left Makkah. We have left it. And then he says, I see their end to be like the end of the people of Sabah. And yesterday we said that the people of Sabah had certain characteristics. The first was that they were mushrikeen. They would worship the tree in the center of their cities. 12 cities of Sabah, in the middle was a communal tree where they all used to go and worship. They were proud. And yesterday we spoke of that narration, 6 things that mankind is proud of in the dunya. Because of their pride, they were annihilated. And then the third characteristic that the Ahlul Sabah had, the people of Sabah had, was kufran al-ni'mah. They denied or they rejected and refused to acknowledge their blessings. When they refused to accept the blessings that Allah had given, and they thought everything was from themselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala annihilated them. He destroyed their gardens, dried up the river of Tharafan, destroyed the dam, and flooded each and every one of them, wiping the 12 cities of Sabah off the face of the earth. This idea of kufran al-ni'mah, not thanking Allah, not acknowledging my blessings are from Allah. These individuals, the result of it was what? That their ni'mah was turned against them. تُغَيِّرُ النَّعْمَ. And in Dua Kumail, in the opening lines, we say, Allahumma ghfir li al-dhanub allati tughayyiru al-ni'am. My Lord, forgive those sins of mine that turn my ni'mah against me. And Imam al-Sajjad salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, he says, الذنوب التي تغير النعم, those sins that change your blessings into adab, that change your ni'mah, are of 4 types. And today we're going to look at those 4 sins. The first, the Imam says, al-baghi ala al-nas. The first reason why Allah will take away a ni'mah from a person. Ni'mah come in different forms. The ni'mah of a house, the ni'mah of health, the ni'mah of children, the ni'mah of wealth, the ni'mah of clothing, the ni'mah of having some sort of a roof over our heads, the ni'mah of family, the ni'mah of safety, the ni'mah of peace, the ni'mah of not being in a state of war. All of these various things are ni'mah. Says one of the reasons why Allah will turn a ni'mah and remove a ni'mah from a person is al-baghi al-nas, is when that person does dhulm upon another human being. When you do dhulm upon another human being. Now dhulm is not one country bombing another country. This is one form of dhulm. But the true interpretation of dhulm is to take something from its rightful place and put it somewhere else. If the rightful place for this microphone is here, and I take it and I put it over there, and now the individual who placed this microphone here has to walk extra steps to go and pick it up from there, I have committed dhulm upon him. This is dhulm. It's not me beating someone. It's not me attacking someone. Rather, dhulm is removing something from its rightful place and taking it and putting it somewhere where it does not belong. This is why we say the greatest dhulm is what? When Ahlul Bayt had their right taken away from them. Because the right was for them to rule over the ummah, was for them to guide the nation, but they were removed from that position and others were put in that position. That was the greatest dhulm done upon mankind. I need to ask myself, at what point or how much dhulm do I do? Dhulm comes in many different forms. If those that have brothers and sisters and siblings in their houses, if I take my siblings' socks without permission, that's dhulm. If my sibling is looking for their socks and they don't realize because I've taken them and there's no other pair of socks there, I've committed dhulm on them. In fact, if I haven't taken their permission and now I've done ghasbi, I've taken something that I can't pray in. My salah is not accepted in. Unless and until they say it's okay. And we do it all the time. We take different things when we remove them from their place. If you have an Islamic institution, for example, and the head of it is not an expert in Islam, that is dhulm. If you have a madrasa, and the head of that Islamic school is not a scholar, that is dhulm. Because you place something in the rightful place, something else in that rightful place. So the first thing that causes ni'mah to change is when a person does dhulm. And let me add this as well. That ni'mah, of all those other things that I've listed, ni'mah is also the ability to do dua, to do worship, to recite dua kumayl, to recite salat al-layl. And many times, I say to myself, when I was younger, I used to always recite dua kumayl. But now, I don't have any time. I don't get the time anymore. You know, I'm so busy with family and work and school that I don't get an opportunity to recite that dua. That was a ni'mah. But because of certain sins that I may have committed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took that ni'mah away from me. I need to ponder over it. So one of the reasons why God removes a blessing from a person is because they've committed or they've oppressed another person. And that other person could also be themselves. How is it that I oppress myself? We say in Dua Kumayl, ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي, I've done dhulm on myself, and I've been audacious in my ignorance. By the sins that I commit dhulm upon myself. I show my ignorance by saying that I'm going to do this. I know God doesn't like it, but I'm going to do it. I show my ignorance. I show the dhulm I'm doing by myself. This is one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove blessings from a person. Barakah from the life of a person is when they do dhulm on other people. When they do dhulm on other people. Even speaking to someone in a wrong way. Harboring hatred towards someone. This is all type of dhulm. Not giving someone, not acknowledging someone, not giving them the time of day. You know, when we look in the du'as and we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, forgive me min lahdati ayni, from the movements of my eyes, from the disobedience of my eyes. Sometimes I don't even need to say anything. Just I roll my eyes at someone because they're not worth my time. That's a dhulm. So the first reason Allah takes away ni'mah is when someone does dhulm on another human being. The second reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes the ni'mah, changes blessings of a person. The Imam says, الزوال عن العادة في الخير. The person gives up doing good. He gives up their good habits. I used to have a really good habit. I used to recite Quran all the time, but now it's not the wajibat. You don't pray namaz or anything, you're going to hell anyway. That's side issue. Yeah? We're talking about doing acts of khair, doing good things. I used to do a good thing. I used to come before when I was younger and help set up the Hussainiyah and vacuum the Hussainiyah. But now I just don't get time. Give up good. I used to recite Salatul Layl. Or you often hear people say, I used to be really good at reciting Quran when I was younger. But now, just been years I haven't really recited. And then I pick it up and then the Quran, and we only pick it up when someone dies now. Sit by the head of the dead person, and we're saying to them, reciting Surah Al-Mulk over them, reciting Yasin over them. But not pondering over it myself. I'm sitting by someone and reading a book of guidance for the living to the one that is already dead. And I don't ponder over it, I don't think over it. And this is why the Holy Quran says, Yawm al-Qiyamah, the Holy Prophet will stand up and say, my Lord, I complain to you about my ummah, for they have left the Quran alone. They never picked it up. They never recited it. What they did is they had this cultural understanding of the Quran. They taught their children that every day from the age you are 5, you've got to go and recite that Quran. And they sent them to Maulana or someone who's teaching Quran or on Skype, whatever. And they learned the basics, the alif, bata, and then they took to the Quran, and then, mashallah, first sipara is finished, second sipara, third. Then when they finish the Quran, our child has finished the Quran party. MashaAllah. Yeah. We're going to hold a party for our son who's finished the Quran. As if to say, you've reached the end. This is the finishing line. You've done it. And the child themselves is coming home, hating having to go and recite constantly and learn something. Why? Because when they come home, none of their elders are reciting the Quran. So they're thinking, why am I the only one that has to go and learn? So they wait for that 30th sipara. It comes, they close, khalas, Quran. And then there's no desire to pick up that Quran. Because that's our culture. That's the culture we have created. That's the culture that we have brought. That's the culture that we enforce. Whereas in reality, the Quran is something that is ever living. It is something that is, instead of making it into a race of my son, you need to finish this before your cousin does. Rather, were we to change it on its head and say, look, today only one page we're going to read. We're going to read it together, and we're both going to read it with translation. Create and foster the love. This is why I'm saying the intellectual understanding of Islam. The intellectual understanding of Islam is what will create an everlasting bond that will never be broken. We go to centers all over the world, and the same thing over and over. Why are the youth not coming? Why are the youth not attending? Why are the youth not... Why? Because it's a revolt against culture. And they don't realize that what they had culturally understood to be Islam is not Islam. And so the revolution or the revolt or the standing up against culture has made them in turn stand up against Islam. So that when someone brings a different method, though in line with Islam, we turn against it. Because we say, no, we never used to do this. What's this new? Because we've understood Islam culturally. We've not understood it intellectually. There are many practices that we do, that though within the boundaries of Islam, were someone else to come in and do it slightly different, we would reject it. Why? Because it's not part of what we have done. And this is what the mushrikeen said to the Holy Prophet. What do you mean, no idols? So our fathers and our forefathers, you said they were all wrong? What they did? So the mushrikeen said. did not have this desire to develop. So the second reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes a ni'mah for a person is that the person does not do good. He leaves doing good. He used to do good things, he used to keep his promises, now he doesn't. He used to be on time, he's always late now. He used to do pray Salatul Layl. He doesn't do it now. He used to speak really nicely with a lot of manners. Now he talks like a roadman. Yeah? Because he used to have really nice words. He used to dress nicely. He used to look respectable. Now, unrecognizable. So one of the reasons is when a person leaves doing good. One of the people in the Holy Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to, and it's a person who has, his end is such that he has no questioning, he has no test, he has none of this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, you straight into heaven. You straight into heaven. Because of the good you did. And what was it? Someone by the name of Habib Najjar. In Surah Yasin, we read, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Says, a man came running from outside of the city. He said to his people, "O my people, obey the Mursaleen." The three prophets that came to the city of Antioch. He comes out, a man by the name of Habib Najjar. He lives outside of the city. His people are disbelievers. They're about to kill the prophet. He runs in, he says, listen to obey the prophets of God. He tries to change his people. Because sometimes what happens, we do some good things. We're like constantly, we used to come to the majlis, we used to help out, we used to volunteer, but then we're like, oh, we don't want to do it anymore. Why? No one appreciates me for what I'm doing. Yeah? No one appreciates me for what I'm doing. I go in, I do all of this, and all they do is complain. We have it sometimes. So all they do is they complain. They all turn against me, and I do my hardest, but no one's ever happy. Habib Najjar, his people are kuffar. They have three prophets that come to them, they turn against them. He runs in from outside the city. Oh people, oh my people, listen to the prophets. They turn against him. They attack him and they kill him. In the Holy Quran, Allah addresses him. He says, قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. We said to him, enter straight into Jannah. No test for you, no questioning, straight into heaven. What does he say? قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمٍ يَعْلَمُونَ. Even though they killed him, they oppressed him, he's going straight into heaven, he doesn't have to care about them. He says, how I wish my people had understood. They never listened to him all his life. They turned against him, they killed him. He still cared for them. He still wanted to help. He still strived for his community. Now when he dies, Allah says, enter into heaven. He says, يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ. How I wish my people had understood. When we leave khair, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes our ni'mah. He removes our blessings, such that we probably can never attain them again, because they're removed from our lives. Blessings come in the way of warners, blessings come in the way of messengers. Different types of individuals come to guide. And those that do not take heed of those guides, they lead themselves to damnation. The other 2 points, inshallah, will continue tomorrow. Inshallah. But on this point, you see in the people of Kufa, a nation whom did not listen to their guides. When Muslim ibn Aqil comes with the letter of Imam al-Hussain, And they've called him, and the Imam says, فَلَأَمْرِ مَعَ الْإِمَامِ إِلَّا الْعَامِلُ بِالْكِتَابِ وَالْآخِذُ بِالْكِسْطِ وَالدَّاعِنُ بِالْحَقِّ وَالْحَابِسُ نَفْسُهُ عَلَى ذَاتِ اللَّهِ. None is your Imam, but the one that orders from the book of Allah, the one that establishes justice, the one that follows in the religion of God, and the one who has annihilated himself for the sake of the Imam. The people, al-Zahid, they come and they join Muslim. But when things become tough, they all leave Muslim. You hear it in the Musibah. And Muslim ibn Aqil leaves Salat al-Maghrib, and all of Masjid Kufa is full. Imagine, those of you that have been on ziyarah, the vastness of Masjid Kufa. And full. But yet when Muslim finishes Salat al-Isha, none are behind him. And the narration says Muslim ibn Aqil makes his way through the streets of Kufa until he reaches a door. And there Muslim, tired, places his head against the wall. A lady from inside the home is looking around for her son. She looks towards him, she says, "Oh man, the time is late. You should return back to your home." Muslim ibn Aqil looks up at her. He says, "If it's possible, can I get a glass of water?" She brings a glass of water for him, and the Muslim drinks it. And then again places his head against the wall. Again she addresses him, says to him that, "Oh man, why don't you go home? It's not good for you to be out at this time." Marhum Kafi would narrate, says that Muslim didn't answer that individual. He didn't answer her. The third time she calls out, she says to him, "Oh man, why will you not answer me? Will you not return back to your home? It's getting late, it's not good for you to be out at this time." Now Muslim raises his head, he looks towards her, says, "Mother, where can a man go that has no home?" She turns to him, she says, "Who are you?" He says, "I am Muslim ibn Aqil, the Safir of Aba Abdullah al-Hussain." The woman by the name of Taw'a is a follower of Ahl al-Bayt. She says, "You are Muslim." Says, "They're searching for you, come inside the house." Muslim ibn Aqil goes inside the house of Taw'a. She places him inside a room and says, "You may stay here as long as you need." The narration says, Muslim spent much of the night in prayer. For a short time, Muslim fell asleep. In his dream, he sees Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen addresses him, "Ya Muslim, al-ajal, al-ajal. Muslim, come quickly, for we are waiting for you. We are eagerly awaiting for you." At the same time, the son of Taw'a enters the house. He realizes that someone is asleep in the room. He asks his mother, "Who is it?" She tells him, "Muslim ibn Aqil." He returns back to the palace of Ibn Ziyad and says, "I have found Muslim ibn Aqil. He is within my house." By the time of Fajr, as Fajr is dawning, Muslim prays his Salat al-Fajr, and the hooves of the horses are heard in the street outside. Taw'a comes towards the room of Muslim, says, "Oh Muslim, the house has been surrounded. What do you want to do?" He says, "Taw'a, bring for me my armor, my shield and sword, and bring for me my horse." Muslim ibn Aqil dresses himself, he goes, and he begins his fight outside the house of Taw'a. They say that Muslim began fighting through the streets of Kufa. 3 contingents were sent in order to fight against Muslim. Every time reinforcements were asked for. In the final time that Ibn Ziyad is asked for, reinforcements. He says, what is it? 3 reinforcements have been sent your way. They replied to him, O Ibn Ziyad, we are not fighting some fruit seller of Kufa. This is Muslim ibn Aqil. This is one of the lions of Bani Hashim. Send for us reinforcements. Muslim carries on fighting through the streets. You may say that there were thousands of individuals that gave bay'ah to Muslim. Where are these Kufans now to aid Muslim? Muslim is ghareeb, Muslim is alone, there's no one by his side. The narration says the Kufans were there, but they weren't in the army fighting against him. Rather they were on the roofs of the houses, setting fire to wood and throwing it upon Muslim ibn Aqil, throwing stones at Muslim as he fought in the streets. They could not fight Muslim. They decided that they would dig a trench in one of the alleyways. They siphoned Muslim into that alleyway, and as they fought him, they covered this trench. Now Muslim goes, he falls inside this trench, and he carries on fighting from within. Then one man calls out, he says, Muslim, stop fighting. Says, Muslim, stop fighting. We have a letter from Ibn Ziyad that says you will not be harmed. Muslim says, you lie. He says, no, by Allah, I have a letter. Muslim ibn Aqil stops fighting. They imprison Muslim and they take him towards the palace of Ibn Ziyad. As Muslim ibn Aqil is coming towards the gates of the palace, the narration says, Muslim addresses the guard. He says to him, if there's a glass of water that I could have, please give it to me. The thirst, Muslim has been fighting in the heat of Kufa. The thirst has overcome him. This individual turns to him, he says, Muslim, for you there is no water. The only drink that you will have is the drink of in hell. You will drink from what the dwellers of hell are drinking. Muslim ibn Aqil recites a curse, he recites a dua upon this individual. They take him inside. Now as Muslim is standing there, Ibn Ziyad enters, they all turn to him, he says, will you not say salam to the Amir? Muslim ibn Aqil, injured, tired, thirsty, but look at the courage of the sons of Bani Hashim. He says, my Amir is none but Hussain ibn Ali. They turn towards him, they say, he looks thirsty, bring him water. The water is brought in front of Muslim. As Muslim goes to drink it, blood falls in it, he throws it away. 3 times they say Muslim ibn Aqil desired to drink water, but blood fell inside that water, and the water was thrown away. Then Ibn Ziyad says to him, Muslim, we're going to kill you. Says, we will take you on top of Dar al-Imara, we will sever your head. Muslim ibn Aqil begins crying. He says, Muslim, they told me you were a brave warrior. What are these tears that I see? He says to him, Ibn Ziyad, I don't cry out of fear of death. Rather, I cry for my master, Abu Abdullah. I have told him to come to Kufa. But he says, Ibn Ziyad, if you have now made the intention to kill me, then I have 3 parts to my will. The first part is that I am indebted to someone for 700 dirham that I had distributed amongst the poor and the orphans of Kufa. Repay that for me. The second thing is, oh Ibn Ziyad, once you've killed me, don't leave my body upon the earth. Ibn Ziyad, bury my body. And then the third thing that I ask from you is that you write a letter to Abu Abdullah and tell him not to come to Kufa. Did he fulfill the wishes of Muslim ibn Aqil? They say they take him to Dar al-Imara. They cut off the head of Muslim. They throw the body of Muslim from the top of the palace to the burning earth of Kufa underneath. The people are gathered. Just before they cut the head of Muslim, they say Muslim ibn Aqil looks towards the desert. He calls out, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah. The head of Muslim severed, his body thrown to the earth over Kufa. They say at that moment, Sayyid al-Shuhada's caravan was passing. They saw some riders riding from where Kufa was. Abu Abdullah stopped stops them. He says, what news is there from Kufa? He says, we don't know. There was a great crowd outside Darul Imara. He says, we approached this crowd. We found a severed body on the ground, and they were tying ropes around its feet. Muslim said, bury me. But they did not bury Muslim ibn Aqil. Instead, they dragged the body of Muslim through the streets of Kufa. But I always say when I recite the musibah of Muslim, that Muslim, how lucky were you that your shahadat was like the shahadat of Abi Abdullah. That Muslim, you were killed thirsty, your imam was killed thirsty. Muslim, your head was severed from your body while you were alive. Hussein's head was severed from his body while he was alive. Muslim, they desecrated your body after you died, and they trampled the body of Abi Abdullah with horses after he died. But Muslim, there is one difference between your death and the death of Abi Abdullah. Muslim, you did not have a sister standing until the Zainabiyya. Hussein's sister Zainab stands until the Zainabiyya. Wa Muhammad Aliyah. Is there not a single Muslim amongst you? Ala la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them thanks to Allah Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Those who are in education, make them successful. Oh Allah, keep safe the Azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada around the world. Oh Allah, keep safe the Zahireen of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, and allow us to be amongst his true muntadreen, his true waiters for the acceptance of these du'as and any of the du'as that the brothers and sisters abroad. Please recite 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.